To our top story, a US politician and her husband have been killed in what has been called a politically motivated assassination. Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband were shot in their home. Joining me live is US political analyst Aidan Smith. Aidan, terrible news this morning.
It's just beyond terrific. And I think that we just look at this in the context of so much growing concern over the rise of domestic U.S. Right-wing extremism. This is something where I think a lot of Americans who've been slowly waking up to the presence of this, frankly, this terror, it's just going to be a lot more apparent for so many people that this is a real problem that, if not stopped now, is just only going to get worse.
Meanwhile, protests, we've just been talking to Pete Stefanovic, who's in Los Angeles, protests all over the country today.
Yeah. And, I think the thing with the protests that are really interesting is that when you look 8 years ago, and this is kind of a big theme in the early part of this Trump presidency, is Trump actually winning the popular vote this last time around compared to 2016. A lot more muted immediate protests. There was kind of less of a resistance in the same way there was in 2017 when we look back 3-4 months back. This shows that now Democrats across the country on the grassroots level, the common voters, are actually starting to really mobilize. And I think to me, it shows that even if there was kind of a delay compared to 8 years ago when, the shock and kind of really new almost novelty of Trump coming into office in an upset 8 years ago, that spurred pretty much immediate demonstrations. This is showing that it took, the grassroots among Democrats and liberal voters bit more to actually mobilize, but it does look that, some 5 months into the administration that it's finally happening and that there's a really strong and mobilized resistance to the Trump administration.
That is people on the ground. The problem for the Democrats is, as a political party, they are still, well, we can only really use the word shambolic from outside looking in.
Definitely. And I think the thing about the Democrats really looking now is that there's really such a massive vacuum of leadership. And that's why you're seeing kind of every other month or so a new Democratic politician, even someone who's been around for a while, someone like Cory Booker, Senate since 2013, ran for president in 2020, didn't really go anywhere. But you saw a few months back where he kind of made a big splash and kind of reasserted himself as a major national figure. And now in the last few weeks, you've seen Gavin Newsom, the California governor. He's been in office in California in some way or another, in San Francisco since I was a child. He's someone who's always been wildly ambitious. This really looks like a moment for him to kind of assert himself as a preliminary front runner for 2028, alongside, the Michigan and Pennsylvania governors, Whitmer, Shapiro, kind of a conventional swing state thing. But yeah, it's a case where there is such a massive leadership vacuum that we haven't really seen in American politics for, I think, a decade or so.